we come from two different family of origins. Like how we grew up is very different.
Right.
So that's where you kind of learn how to be a spouse or what the right way to do things is.
Yeah, you kind of establish all of those norms.
Right.
Like, apparently, this just in, there's a right way to load the dishwasher. They did not teach that at guy school.
Oh, I taught you.
Yes.
Lucky you.
Man, I'll tell you.
What would you do without me?
Yep. You got you a fixer-upper, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah, but there are honestly so many things. How you do the holidays. Do you give gifts on Christmas Eve? Nope, you wait everything for Christmas Day. I mean, just all these little things that you never think about until they become things.
Yes. So you have that family of origin, and then differences of male and female. We just experience the world differently. Our own sets of trauma and hurts and wounds from the past that definitely, trigger in current day. And then different brain structures. Like, we think very differently.
We do.
Like, what we think is very similar, but how we think is very different.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Our values and the important things, we're very aligned, but how we get there could not be more different.
I know. Yeah.
Well, what's an example? Can you think of anything?
Okay, so let's say, so I'm very concrete and literal. And Derek, you're very gray.
Yeah. Shades of gray.
Shades of gray.
Yeah.
And so, let's say we agree that we need to leave the house by 6 to get somewhere. And I'll say, hey, it's 6 o'clock. We need to go. Are you ready? He'll say,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I just need to get my shoes on, brush my teeth, find my car keys.
That's not ready. To me, ready is you're walking out the door. Yeah. I'm like, where are you going? You said you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to be ready.
I'm ready to go get ready.
I guess that would be more accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you're like, we said 6, but if we leave at 6:05, 6:10.
Well, you don't really want to be the first ones there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of many examples that we just,
And like, I'll say stuff like, but you said this.
I know.
Like, what you say matters. Like, don't
oh, my word. If I have ever heard that.
Don't say it if you don't mean that.
I meant the general concept of that. Well, part of it is I'm a verbal processor, and you're more internal processor, but you're just not an off-the-charts verbal processor like I am.
Yeah.
And I like to think about ideas, and by verbal processing, it's almost like I'm sort of throwing it out there, trying it on for size, like I'm writing it on a whiteboard. And sometimes I'll throw it out there and I'll be like, I don't even believe that. And then I'll want to, I'll erase it.
But he doesn't tell me this ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I think what he's saying is what he means, that he's just thinking out loud about it.
Yeah. And then the other thing I do, while we're talking about all the things I do, let's talk about some of the things you do in just a moment.
No, I like this.
Another thing I do is I tend to view the world through persuasion. So I feel like very deeply and I verbalize it.
And you try to sell me on it.
Well, and I'll come out really strong, but I don't really mean it that strong. But I'll be like, I am never going back to that restaurant again. And then 2 days later, I might be like, we should go back to that restaurant again. Which, as I say that out loud, it sounds a little crazy. So
thank you.
Really, I should think of an example that doesn't make me look quite so crazy. It makes a lot of sense up here.
Yeah, like you're more in your emotions. And you'll say things out your emotions, what you're feeling at that moment.
Right.
But you may not feel that 2 days later.
Right.
But I don't know that. Like I'm more logical, so I mean,
I'm logical.
I mean, it's all on a spectrum, right?
Okay.
You're logical, but you act more out of your emotions. I act more out of my logic.
Like, I tend to, like, the final thing of making a decision, it's like, this just feels right.
Yes. And I'll say, this makes sense.
Yeah. And so, obviously, I mean, you're in touch with your emotion, obviously. Yeah. It's just, at the end of the day, this is what we're going with.
Yeah, you'll say it just feels like I have a gut on this, and sometimes I have a gut on things, but I'm like, but what are the facts? Like, I need more information when we're making decisions. I'm like, I don't know, I don't have enough information to make that decision.
Yeah, and for the longest time, her need for more information felt like she wasn't trusting.
Yeah.
I remember saying things like, why won't you follow me?
Yeah.
If you want to get all Christian marriage about it, you're supposed to follow the woman.
But I'm like, I want to make a reasonable, logical, rational decision, and I need data for that to know if following you.
Yeah, and I think it's the category of things. I mean, like there's a whole category where, if we're deadlocked, we're going to pray about it, and man, 99 times out of 100, we're going to come into agreement on that thing. What I'm talking about is more just the day-to-day things that happen.
Yeah.
Where I feel strongly, like, I feel like we should get more facts. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And what's interesting, what I've had to learn is that if my gut is right, I mean, she'll get the facts and come back and be like, I totally agree. And sometimes she'll get the facts that I didn't know. And with those facts, I'm like, oh yeah, my thought was totally wrong. So there is an element of on my part, of not being prideful. But
we remember the times we're right.
Well, yeah.
And I think
no matter how few they are, I hold on to them.
But that is important. Like, see, he should get more facts. I was right. But we don't remember all the times that the other person's right. Like, that's not as natural for our brain to pick up on. Yeah.
I think part of our dynamic early on as well was you would stuff feelings and emotions and kind of not have a voice in the relationship.
Because you were so passionate.
Yeah, because I would come out
salesmanish.
Right. I would come out passionate and hear the 3 reasons why this makes total sense, and I don't see how anybody could think anything different.
Yeah.
And for you would have that, like, but this doesn't seem right, but he seems so passionate and I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
And you'll go along with it. And to the point where over time it became unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because for me, I thought I was persuading you, but I actually wasn't. I was just like wearing you down.
I was like, okay, fine. Like, sometimes it really was like, I just don't care that much. Not a big deal. But it was the times where, like, all right. And I would give in, and then I become resentful.
Right.
And that's not healthy, and it's not good for either of us.
But all of that is marriage. Part of what makes it hard is that you have 2 very different people that are coming together. And on top of it all, we have a bent towards selfishness.
Yeah.
We have this flesh that we live in, and all of that, really, it shouldn't surprise us that there are going to be challenges.
Yeah.